How would you tell us your age without telling us your age? I recorded my favorite songs from the radio onto blank cassettes to make mixtapes. Remember calling in and requesting a song. My mom and dad got me out of bed to watch the first man walk on the moon. You are probably my dad's age. He was born 1962. He remembers cardboard cutouts of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin in grocery stores. When I was born, VHS tapes were still popular, and by the time I became an adult, virtually no one was still buying brand new DVDs. I remember the transition on previews from now available on VHS to now available on DVD and VHS to now available on DVD and Blu-ray to not buying any of them and never seeing previews anymore. LOL. Old enough to have grown up both with and without computers in existence or common usage. I spent my teenage years on the internet, but remember a time before the internet. 37. I had to put the TV on channel 3 or 4 to play video games. Also, Game Genie, I rejoice, for I have found my people. Probably, when I was a kid I used to say I want to be a Mighty Morphing Power Ranger when I grow up. Right, double quotation mark. My sister was born in 1988 and was all about them. Old enough to have used a floppy disk but young enough to not understand what it was. 28. I was born in 1994, where at the age musicians die. I smoked candy cigarettes when I was a kid. Shoot. Born before Google and Netflix, but not remembering the world without them. Ask Jeeves. I watched Ed, and Eddie and Adventure Time when I was little. Adventure Time? I still have a floppy disk with my first CV, Resume, in it, and an original PlayStation. Columbine was my freshman year of high school and 9/11 was my senior year of high school. Memorable bookends. 37. Cut myself in half so you can count the rings. Grote. I had to stand on a stool to speak on the phone. You could call me by dialing 4 digits. If you lived within a couple of miles. If you were farther away, you had to dial 0 and ask the lady to place a long distance call. Long distance was very expensive. I remember a distinct sound when trying to get onto the internet. For anyone young or for whatever reason wants to know what I mean. After all these years I think we could all do the sound from memory. I'm old enough to have had a childhood outside, but young enough to understand the internet. Gen X baby. Old enough to watch porn legally, not old enough to drink. This also conveniently tells us that you're probably American. Napster was quite popular when I was in middle high school. 37. I used to visit Blockbusters to rent a videotape. Chernobyl, Challenger, Halley's Comet. Remember this joke? How many astronauts can you fit in a VW? 11. 2 in the front seats, 2 in the back seats. The Olympic Games have taken place 6 times since I was born. This would make you at most 13. I saw the Berlin Wall come down on TV. 40. Old enough to remember when Chuck E. Cheese and its siblings Shubbies were solid arcades. There were separate rooms for the dining tables and the robot shows. And there was a ball pit. Young enough to have computers in grade school, but old enough to use them to play 8-bit green tinted games like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Old enough to remember to when Germany was split into 2, East and West. I got hit clips for my birthday one year and could not stop listening to them. We had one corded phone in the house when I was a kid, and you stood in the kitchen if you wanted to call someone. The cool kids all had their own lines. Borders bookstores. I know dinosaurs. Personally. 200 million. Kazaa. Napster. Kazaa. Hypercollar was a thing in my formative years. Those shirts just came up in conversation the other day. Wish I still had mine. Bart Simpson should be the same age as me. I was born the year Jimmy quit and Jody got married. I can remember exactly where I was when I heard that Kurt Cobain had died. What's 9 plus 10? 21. Smiling face with sunglasses. Don't remember a time before the internet. My first real experience with coffee was with pumpkin spice lattes since I can't stand non-sweet coffee. Adventure Time was still going when I was a kid. Mental health is a topic people my age talk about a lot. Ninja Reddit. Yes, I am 17. I used to hold up Linda Carter's poster with one hand. I remember in middle school when I couldn't play online and have someone on the phone at the same time. Video cassettes. That is something even younger people will understand. ICAS born in the Soviet Union. It still existed for a couple of years. I remember using MSN as a kid and my first game was Pokemon Gold and Silver. I watched Saturday morning cartoons as a kid. Saturday morning cartoons. AOL chat rooms. Always a 16/F Cali. And mom don't pick up the phone, disconnected internet. I used to go to Blockbuster to rent games and movies on tape, and then suddenly the VCR was useless. Played flash games on the computer as a child. On 9/11 my first thought was, oh frick, I'm gonna get drafted. I saw the movie Grease 3 times in the theater. The last 2 times just to see Olivia Newton-John in black spandex. Mum was in the mid-late trimester of her second pregnancy on 9/11. Till that I'm as old as NPR, Atari 2600, Britney Spears, NSYNC, and Backstreet Boys were huge when I was a kid. Grew up watching All in the Family. Smiling face with smiling eyes and rosy cheeks. Beaming face with smiling eyes. Britney Spears was every boy's crush. My first gaming computer was a Commodore 64. I was born 1 month before Sputnik orbited the Earth. I had to wait for my favorite song to come on the radio and record it so I could set it as a ringtone. I had a huge collection of VHS tapes. I had a Motorola Razr in 7th grade. Wine me. Dine me. My birth year. Me. Howdy doody time. As old as the first ever DeLorean. The loudest computer startup sound. My family got our first computer when I was in junior high, and it was an Apple II Plus. In my teens, there was music on MTV. Pretty much non-stop. When I opened Windows, I used DOS. Challenger was a lovely spaceship. I write in cursive and put 2 spaces after my periods. I watched Star Wars in the theater and discussed it with my elementary school friends. We were arguing if it was better than Disney's The Black Hole or not. Also, one of them said that Darth Vader had to wear his suit because he fell into a volcano. I believed him but had no idea where he came up with that idea. Eventually I figured he just made it up. Decades later, when Revenge of the Sith came out, I sat in the theater, and when a certain scene came on, my jaw dropped and all I could think was no fricking way. Left double quotation mark. Nee Nick Nickelodeon. I am past my hypothetical half-life. Gonna frick myself up for 4 more years of studying after this. I cleared victorious LOL. Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Dexter are my childhood. I had a Game Boy. My first program in Fortran was implemented on punch cards. 800-5882-300 Empire. My first video game console had a wood grain finish on it. Planning a trip to anywhere with a physical map and looking up my classmates' numbers in the yellow pages. I've seen this same question asked for 53 years in a row. I'm 25 plus 5. 255. Children of the Corn came out the same year I did. Old enough to coexist with Johnny Cash for 7 months.